Welcome everyone to another episode of Promptly Speaking, where we bring you the stories, the movers and shakers of our industry and their journey to success. I'm your host, Jack Madrid, and joining us today is Carlo Mata, the Director for Global Operations of White & Case Philippines. Carlo is also the Vice Chair of GC3 Philippines. Let's welcome Carlo to the show. Carlo, thank you for taking time out to be on Promptly Speaking.
Pleasure is mine, Jack.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. Not many in the audience know that we've actually known each other for quite some time.
Right.
So I've been looking forward to this conversation. So, Carlo, let's kick things off. My first question is, when people meet you for the first time, what are some of these perceptions they have about you that cause them to misunderstand you?
So I wear different hats depending on the circle of people I'm with. Obviously, at home, I'm dad, I'm husband. But I move around various circles, not just work. And so because I move around various circles, I wear different hats and different roles, right? And sometimes the hat I wear sort of decides or dictates sort of the role I play in that interaction. And in the office particularly, I think one of the things that people commonly get wrong is that they think that I am an extrovert because of the way I relate to the people, right? And so obviously in that context, in that role, that hat you wear, I'm very people oriented. I go out to people. I go out of my way. I do my floor walks. I talk to people. I go from table to table. And it's so easy to think, oh, this guy really loves going out and talking to people. It's true when I'm at work, but at my core, what people don't understand is at my core, I am really more of an introvert. I recharge differently. And I think that's something that when I do a Q&A with people, and I say that, they laugh, particularly in the office, because they think I'm lying, but it's true. It's true. So that's one thing that people often get wrong about me.
So an introvert in disguise.
I am an introvert in disguise.
Some people call that a social introvert.
Okay, I am a social introvert.
I can certainly relate to that because I think I'm quite similar. But
No, I
like
don't think
you,
so.
people do not believe that.
Yeah, I don't believe it.
So what changes when people get to know you more?
I think they obviously they understand that I have sort of different sides, I guess, sides to me. There are times I just really I need time away. I need time away from interacting from a dynamic environment. I just need time to recharge, to think. And I remember I'll say this, like my wife, when we were when she was still getting to know me, and in the earlier years of our marriage, she thought that something was wrong. Like, why are you so quiet? Did I say something wrong, or did something happen? And she later understood that there's absolutely nothing wrong. There are those times where in the day I have different sort of waves of energy, and sometimes I need that solitude to get away. And it's not my mood changing. I just need to recharge and recenter.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you that are we talking about dramatic mood shifts, but you explained it.
Yeah.
It's just Carlo Mata recharging.
Yes, it's me recharging. It's me recharging.
So speaking of recharging,
Yeah.
when you do get a day to yourself,
Mm.
when it's Carlo Mata time,
Mhm.
what would that look like?
It is the opposite of optimizing. When I what I mean by that is when I get a day to myself, m- I don't look to optimize the day. I look for simplicity. So because of the nature of our work, it's very dynamic. We're always making decisions. We're always following we're always navigating different scenarios. When I get a day to myself, it's a time for me to do exactly the opposite. I Some people they want to plan the day and say, okay, today is my day off and I want to do the following things, right? For me, if it's my day off, it's the opposite. I try to go the opposite of optimizing. I go for simplicity. I go for relaxation. Um, and I like to start my day slow. Uh, Coffee. I cannot start the day without coffee. So to me, a typical day off would be getting up from bed, staying in bed a few minutes, no rush, coming down, making my coffee, sitting quiet, meditating, and in my case, meditation would probably mean different things for different people. In my case, it's maybe prayer time, um, and just keeping the day unstructured and slow.
That sounds pretty good to me. I like to do nothing myself, when I have when I can. But is there any part of that day that you try to that is non-negotiable that you try to protect?
Good question. People who are close to me know this very well. The one thing that is non-negotiable to me and I protect is my family time. Um, and when I say family time, I mean my immediate family. So I don't like having, if it's my day off, I don't like having relatives over. I I I protect my family time. So I have some non-negotiables in my schedule where, for example, weekends are for my family. Obviously, because there are times that our role requires us to show up on weekends, I will make sure I replace that day. And so my kids to me and my wife, my family, they're the most important. My time with them is protected. Um, and I think that's important, right? Because it your core, your personal time, my personal time, from that flows everything else. It's if my core is messed up, even who I am at work, uh, I don't show up as my best self, right? And so making
You
sure
get out
that
of sync a bit.
absolutely, absolutely. And so a big part of who I am and being at my best is because I protect my private time.
That's actually that doesn't surprise me at all, Carlo. Because even just based on your some of your social media activity, I
Yeah.
see how important uh, that family time,
Yeah.
as you
Very,
describe it,
very.
is to you. Now let's go back, to that recharging need. All of this recharging,
Mhm.
Carlo, all that happens at home, or can you recharge anywhere?
My battery is most recharged when I'm at home with my family. But it can be anywhere so long as my core is with me, my family is with me. So location doesn't really matter, but I bring my family along
Okay.
with me.
Okay. I mean, recharging is when you are with your family.
Yes, yes.
Home is where your family
Yeah.
is. All right. Now, aside from your family,
Yeah.
how do you spend time? Like, are there is there a hobby, some some hobby that you have that our audience may not know about that may surprise them?
my kids like to say that I have a flavor of the month or a flavor of the quarter or a flavor of the year. Unlike say I've known you for a long time. In fact, my first interaction with you, I remember a long time ago, had something to do with something that to this day you're very interested in, and something that is a part of you, which is good wine. And that's sort of stayed consistent. Like I know a lot of people, golfing is a big part of them. I tend to have that favorite thing for a season. And when I do, I get really into it.
You dive into
I
it.
dive into it. And I realize there was a time I started getting into golf. Okay.
Oh wow, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah. But it was more of um it never went so far. It was more of my wife would say that I was more on getting dressed for golf than really playing the game. And they say if you can't perform, you jump warm. But whenever I get into something, like I go all in. Um, Maybe to answer your question, something that people don't know, I'm into woodworking. Yeah, I have big power tools at home.
Oh wow.
I
Wow.
I mean really almost industrial level power tools. Um, I can make my own kitchen if I wanted to. Um,
What? A
so
whole
my wife is an interior decorator. She can design. I can execute the design without any help.
Jeez,
And
what have you created?
so a lot of things. I've outfitted my garage to be a workshop. Our kitchen island. There's a room in our house, the lanai. I was the one who sort of finished that. The contractor delivered it to us bare, just walls, and I was the one who made it look the way it looks now. Um, but so I think the interests may change, but the process is the same. When I get into something, I go all in on the process, and I sort of I try to move towards mastery of it. Um, so in terms of one hobby, I think it rotates, it changes over time. It's not consistent.
So this woodworks thing, how long has that been going on?
That's been going on maybe 5 6 years.
Okay, well
In
that
fact, in fact, I think, Jack, I think if you ask me, if you weren't doing this, what would you be doing? I probably would be doing that.
oh wow. Maybe that's your next calling.
Who knows?
So, you talk about your family a lot,
I do.
Carlo.
It just comes out.
Now, so a question on that. What has being a husband and a father
Mhm.
taught you about yourself?
It's taught me to be present. Um, I think nowadays it's very easy. Ever since we've invented gadgets, it's very easy to be physically in one place, but your mind is somewhere else. Um, so many distractions now, right? And I have 4 kids. Having children as a father, one thing that I learned is you can take the same kid every single year to say Disneyland or Disney World, right? And every year you're really not taking the same kid anymore because every year they're changing. And someone said this, like you only have like 12 summers with them or something like that, or 18 summers. And it's taught me to be present in the conversation. It's taught me um to listen. When my child, my 4-year-old, will pull my arm and tell me a story, for example, almost always I will drop my phone. I'll set it aside And even if his story doesn't make any sense, I give him my full attention. And I found out it's mattered to them a lot. And I realize it matters to people a lot too, not just children. And so I think one thing about being a father and a husband that has translated sort of beyond just being a father and a husband, but being a leader and a person is being present in the moment and appreciating that moment for what it is. If it's good, be there, appreciate it because it won't last. If it's not so good, appreciate the fact that that too won't last. Even the worst shall pass too. Um, so that's something that I've learned.
That's certainly a very powerful lesson, Carlo, and I think I got a lot of I got a lot from that,
Yeah.
and I think our audience will certainly appreciate what you're saying. Now, on the same vein, again, with your four children, do you, because you said so yourself, they change
They
every
change.
year.
Yeah.
Now, how do you react to situations when they want their own time to themselves, and let's say on a given weekend,
Yeah.
they will want to hang out with their friends
Yeah.
and not be home? How is that? How have you handled that, or have you
No,
not
it's
yet
definitely
experienced that?
definitely happening already, right? So I have two teens, and my eldest doesn't even go to university or college here in the Philippines. She's abroad, and so time with her and time with my second daughter becomes more premium. And there are times, like what you said, there are times they used to love hanging out with us in the bedroom or in the living room. Now they have their own world. They're in their bedrooms when they're at home. Um, they often ask us if they can be out with their friends, and I think it's important to know that you're you're not in competition with others. Society is what builds a person, right? It's not just one thing. It's not just school. It's not just home. It's not just work. It's all, they're a product of their entire environment. I think what's important is putting them in the right environment and then integrating that environment into your world. Um, in my case, our two older children, their friends hang out in our house. Like our house is the hangout
Oh, right.
place. So that works. But that's not always the case. That's not always the case. And we try not to be we try not to hold them back. And just that's why I said being present matters, because when they're with you, make the most out of it because it's not always going to be the same. Right? Well,
Yeah.
this is becoming like a parenting
Well, it's
conversation, Jack.
and I think a lot of people can certainly relate to it.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's situation is obviously different. The dynamics are different, but what you just described, I think everyone
Yeah.
can relate to.
Yeah.
But your outlook on raising children, I mean, have you always considered yourself as a family man
Yes,
from the
always.
beginning?
Always, always. I would say I'm living the dream. I really am. My outlook. I've always wanted to raise a family. So it's not like, oh, I have four kids. I that wasn't the plan. I wanted to be an executive living in the penthouse all on my own, and that was never the plan. The plan was always to be a family guy.
So let's switch
Shift. Okay.
gears a
Sure,
little
let's
bit,
do that.
Carlo. No, I mean we've talked extensively
Yes.
about your family, but taking off from that, how was your role as a husband and a father? How was that influenced your leadership style?
They're intertwined. I I think on a one-to-one basis, it's taught me to be a little bit more nurturing and more human. In other words, you're not just managing outcomes and results. You realize outcomes and results ultimately, especially in our business, it's a human capital intensive business, right? Which works perfectly for me. Um, it's easy to be very to crack the whip and just treat people as as numbers and just results. And people, there's a lot going on with everyone. Like everyone has a story, and I've learned, like, for example, you know, when you're a supervisor in my earlier years, I remember in the BPO, I would talk to them, and it would be coaching. We call it like coaching, supervisor coaching, TL or TC coaching on the KPIs and the metrics and all that. And after a few times, it becomes a repetitive conversation. Numbers are numbers, right? And then you realize as you grow, numbers are a lagging metric. They are not the predictor of things. They simply measure what's going on. And so I've learned to deal with people as humans. Obviously, that does not mean you disregard results. Obviously, we're results are the most important thing in our career, right? Or one of the most important things. But it it's taught me to sustain it by being more human, more relational. And I used to think that was a weakness, especially in operations. In hardcore ops, you'd think weakness yan. Kasi it's all about delivering the best results. And if you're sacrificing the results because you're being human, then you're a weak leader, right? And maybe in some environments, that could be true. Um, but I don't think it's sustainable. I think it's almost like a car. If you push it too hard for too long, it's gonna break down, right? And so it's taught me to be a little bit more, or even a lot more human, even in the questioning that I would do. I relate to people as people, first, and then that becomes the foundation for the conversation about everything else, because they don't respond as well if I just see past them and I just keep looking at numbers and results every single time. um I found that the results follow a sustainable approach, right? um I mean, I think our currently where we sit in our numbers are, if you want to make attrition as one of the measures of success, we're our annualized attrition, we're probably going to end the year at 5-6% annualized attrition. I think that's pretty good, and we're seeing some of the best results we're seeing.
Well, again, a real, uh, I would say the insight I take away from that is really not letting go of your humanity,
Humanity.
and at the pace that we all work,
Yeah.
there's a strong, I won't say urge.
It's a tendency.
It's just a result
Yeah.
of this almost cruel pace, no?
Yeah.
To become transactional
Yeah.
even in our relationships,
Yeah.
right? So I think you've shared another insight into who you are, and perfect answer to the question. How you are with your family has really guided your leadership style
Yeah.
that way. So wonderful. Now, um, Do you have any mentors, Carlo, who have, supported you throughout your journey?
I have. I'm talking to him right now.
Oh wow! Well, thank you. It's an honor to be considered one of your
You
mentors.
definitely are one of them. I think, when I used to think a mentor is like they had everything, and that if you're a mentor, that meant everything in life. I go to you for everything, and I realize now that's an unfair
Yes.
expectation on anyone. And so, I have mentors in different sort of areas of my life. I have mentors for home, for marriage, for parenting, for woodworking. I do. I and for career. And even sometimes a lot of those transcend just pure career. Like for example, I don't know how you feel, but I know my conversation with you. For those who don't know, Jack used to be my boss, and he was not a very good boss to me. I'm just kidding. He was he, he and I wouldn't be good friends if I did not see the humanity in Jack. But this relationship has transcended just the direct reporting line, because obviously I don't report into you anymore, right? But we've continued to stay in touch. um, I've continued to come to you and other mentors that I've had for important life decisions as a sounding board. So definitely, I'm a product of a lot of people pouring into me and being patient with me.
Well, and thank you for the trust. By the way, I didn't expect that answer to that question. It's not why I asked the question. By the way, wow. Okay, well, that got pretty serious, Carlos. So I think we're gonna switch gears again.
Okay.
And go to what I consider to be one of my favorite parts of promptly speaking.
Okay.
Okay, but I need a favor from you, Carl.
Okay.
When I ask you the next set of questions,
Don't think.
I don't want you to think. Just tell me the first thing that enters your mind. I mean, that's the whole fun of this.
We can edit
Part
naman,
of
no?
the
Pag
show.
mali yung nasagot, no? Okay. Let's do it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. What is one unforgettable line that one of your kids has ever told you?
One unforgettable line. Okay. You're my best friend.
Oh, wow. That's going to stay with you for a long
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Huh? Complete this sentence. When the wife is stressed, I bring home.
I bring home. I just bring myself home. Oh my God, that's such a bad answer. I just, when the wife is stressed, I have to be there. I come home.
Well, I think that's a beautiful answer.
I
Carlo.
hope so.
Is there a favorite quote or mantra that you live by?
Always leave things better than how you found them.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Okay, here's a fun one. If you could only get one song to listen to for the rest of your life, what would that song be?
It would be, I was trying to think, what's the title of our wedding song? Just Stay Together. Stay Together. That's the title of the song.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm glad I didn't sing it.
Well, who knows? Can you describe your perfect meal?
My perfect meal would be, the food itself would be a medium rare steak. And sitting across me would be my beautiful date. That's my perfect meal right there.
And hopefully with a good glass of wine.
And a good glass of wine. I was thinking that. I was thinking of that. Yeah.
Okay, you have this industrial set of power tools at home, right? So
Yeah.
what has been the most impressive wood project that you built?
I think maybe the center island in our current house now. So I think it's the centerpiece of our first floor. Um, Maybe that. But I've done so many other projects. One of them, second probably favorite one would be the cabinet itself where I store all my tools.
Wow, I have to check all of these things out. I didn't know that. Huh?
I own a fortune worth of power tools.
Gosh. Okay. What's your favorite drink, Carlo? I know you start the day with coffee, but what's your favorite drink? Like a real drink.
A real drink. Define real.
I mean, something that puts you in the right mood. You know what I mean?
I wish I had a more sophisticated answer. Uh, but this is not sophisticated at all. It's probably Sprite Zero. That's so bad.
Oh my
That's
God!
so
You don't
bad.
drink alcohol?
I do when I'm with you.
Oh, okay. Wow! That doesn't sound so.
I'm not a drunk, but so
Only with me, huh?
yeah. So Jack is really, really. You can trust Jack to find you the perfect drink. Perfect drink. So if you're not really into drinking,
Ah, what's a new skill that you've been wanting to learn? What's next for you?
very easy. I've turned down so many. I know I said it kanina, like I tried it, but then it never went far. It's very basic. It's golf.
Okay, you're gonna give golf another shot.
I will. I will give golf another shot because I think, remember earlier we were talking about like conversations, and it's the kind of hobby where it's not about being stimulated. It's probably the opposite, right? It's a game of solitude. You get away, you talk, you converse. Someone like me, I thrive on not big groups. I thrive. I regenerate when I'm having quality discussions, and so I think the game of golf is not just a hobby. I think it's something really important. I've turned you down. I've turned down quite a number of people who have invited me because I was afraid of making a fool of myself.
I've never met a golfer who was really good, right? I mean, we're all. It's a process of improvement, and that's what the allure of
I think
golf
that's what
is.
people say to lure out the ones who are not so good.
And but it addresses many of the things that you've described in this in the podcast so far, Carlo. You know, the need to recharge, the importance of solitude,
Is there a
the
consistent
importance
theme?
of company.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't think of any other sport that gives you that. You can even play alone. I do.
That's true.
Yeah, so you have all that.
That's true.
But most important of all, whether you're playing alone or with a group of friends, that quality of presence
Yes.
that you described,
Yes.
that is very important in
Yes.
golf. Because to be good in golf, you have to stay in the moment.
And,
It's shot by
they
shot.
say also, they say, I don't know, obviously I'm not a golfer, but you confirm this, right? They say you compete against yourself.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. So being present, shot by shot, playing for the moment, that's very important. That. Is there a book, a play, or a movie that has recently inspired you?
Hugh Jackman, The Greatest Showman.
Oh, I like that.
I love it. I love it. So my whole family, my kids, they're all into performing, theater, ballet, dance. So we have a natural thing for that kind of stuff. But I love the music. I love the story. I love the bounce back. Um, and how he hit rock bottom. And then he came to the realization of what really mattered most in the very end. And then the ending was him literally running and pursuing uh, the train where his family was. So I know I keep talking about family, but I mean it's the story of risking it all and betting on yourself and reinventing yourself along the way because he had to reinvent himself. He had to learn. And then people believing eventually in who you are and what you do. But even despite that, you're not bulletproof. you still will hit rock bottom. You still make mistakes. And he made a huge mistake. He hit rock bottom, yet he came back, bounced back.
I gotta watch that again,
Yeah.
just by your description of it. So my last rapid fire question,
Okay.
Carlo. We go back to what you do. If you could describe the future of GCC, what would that look like?
My gosh. It's a very good question because that's something I'm very passionate about and takes a big chunk of my brain space. So where we are today, I think to answer that question, it's also important to understand where we are today and how we got here, right? And in this industry, we've had strong fundamentals. We've had the talent that's allowed us to grow to the powerhouse we are today. Almost 2 million employees overall under the BPO, right? We have about 350,000, closer to 400,000 in the GCC space. We've had the fundamentals that have put us in this position, which is, you know, strong domain skills, communication, our ability to relate across uh, different cultures. Today, we are a powerhouse when it comes to being entrusted to deliver service. We are great at executing at the service we've been entrusted to execute. And that service has evolved over time. It used to be, a lot of it used to be transactional work, repertorial work, administrative work. All of that is still very important, by the way. We're not saying that's not important. But our success there has paved the way for a different kind of skill set, if you could say it that way, where you're expected. There are no scripts, there are no manuals. A lot of it is thinking on the fly. It's critical thinking. It's analyzing. It's being able to communicate your thought. For example, in the creative space. So one of the faster growing areas in White and Case Manila is the marketing and the creative space. And I'm so impressed by the brilliance of it all, because it's one thing to be able to design things. It's another to contextually understand the mind of who's requesting it, the audience that it is being built for. Oh, I'm so sorry. The audience it is being built for. And then to put that together consistently and to be entrusted to deliver a high level, to create a high level presentation deck, complete with talking points from here in Manila to be delivered somewhere in a different part of the world. I think it's a very different story. That part is something that excites me. It's something that I see is the evolution sort of the GCC space, where it's higher domain skills, or more, I should say more, not higher. I guess it doesn't, I'm not saying the rest are lower, but I think it's an addition of domain skills that historically were not the foundations of what grew in the earlier decade. That said, we are far from having arrived. And that is exciting to me, because where we are today is we're no longer just a shared service or a center that is delivering services shared across different locations. We're really driving true capabilities now from our centers in the Philippines, which is one of the reasons why we changed our name to Global Capability Centers, because it's really more consistent with what we do. That said, I think today while we are delivering true capability, there's still an opportunity for greater ownership of decisions, ownership of processes, not just execution of the the process, but even the design of the process and the workflow itself. I think there's a lot of room for us to expand into that. And in the future, for Filipinos to have a seat at the table where strategy is shaped and formed and big decisions are made. And I think that's where we're headed. And I think that's the exciting part.
Well, that's a such a powerful description of the future of our industry. I share your excitement and championing the Philippines
Yeah.
as the next GCC capital.
Right.
And I think since our days in Dell, well, where most of what we did was scripted,
Mm.
important work,
Yeah.
without
Very
a doubt.
important work.
But it was basically a set process,
Yes.
and our agents just had to execute.
Yes.
Fast forward 20 years later, here we are having this conversation
Yeah.
about the importance of judgment,
Yeah.
the need to problem solve,
Mm-hmm.
and the importance of creativity,
Yeah.
right? And with that, a fuller ownership
Yeah. You know,
of the process.
right now, in many centers across the GCCs in the Philippines, what you have is you're not told the exact parameters of the output. You're told the objective, the audience, and the requestor. And then how you navigate that requires a lot of your critical thinking and your creativity. And of course, it's an iterative process, but still, versus following a script, there's a lot of gray area now, and you're expected to be more comfortable executing in the gray.
So wonderful. So when you look back, I mean, how long have you been with White and Case, Carlo?
11 years.
11 years. So when you look back, how did this responsibility happen? And did it feel for you on your journey? Did it feel like a clear path? When you connect the dots, or did this just grow over time?
So 11, a little over 11 years. I joined the firm at the start of 2015. But prior to that, I worked in a more traditional BPO type of work, and it was very dear to my heart. By the way, some of my best experiences come from that experience with 24/7. I still think some of the most brilliant people I've worked with work there. But I reached a point where I don't think it's burnout, Jack. I kept I was working in the BPO space for about 20 years. Climbed the ladder, one successful QBR after the next, one successful MBR after the next. At some point, you realize it's like chasing your own, at least I felt like it was like chasing my own tail. Where a great QBR, a great end to a quarter simply means you have to deliver more the following quarter. And it was like a cycle that would never end. And I had to ask myself, like, true to my core, like, what am I doing? What impact am I making beyond the numbers? So in July of 2014, I decided to walk away from something I really enjoyed. And I decided to just ask the tough questions and revisit my sort of, what am I doing? What's my core? And for 7 months, Jack, I was looking into like six completely unrelated types of work and industries. Like even a teacher, a professor, a woodworker, um, a consultant. In fact, I attended a CMC certification, certified management consultant. Um, and you climb the ladder, but at some point you have to ask yourself, is the ladder leaning on the right wall? Or am I just too busy climbing? And along the way, I received a phone call. They asked me if I would be interested to go through the process of interviewing. And I think it's one of the best decisions that I've come across, joining uh, this this firm. It's a wonderful organization. Of course, I'm biased. I think it's one of the best. But I would say that everything led me to this point. Like, I don't look at any part of my journey and look down at it and say, oh, this one was not as good as that one, or that one was superior or inferior to this one. I think it's all like building blocks that lead you to where you are now. But when I arrived in this role, fast forward to this role, I don't think it's a role that like feels like it when you take it, you've arrived in the role. I think there was an area that there was some leeway to reshape the role, which is what I liked. But before you could reshape it, it required the role to be first understood. And my first few months was just really asking a lot of questions. And I'll tell you this, in the world we came from in the BPO space, they say, you're not expected to uh, save the world overnight, right? Maybe 2 nights. Like, you're supposed to hit the ground running. So that was the world I came from. It's high speed, right? The BPO world is high pace. It's scale, the volume, the speed, everything. And then when I got to White and Case, I remember um, my the guy who was onboarding me, chief, he said he saw me taking down notes like during my onboarding, furious. That same night, he took me out to dinner and he said, Carlo, slow down. And this was day one, okay? This was day one. He said, slow down. He said, this is not an purely operational role. This is a cultural or a people role, a human role. It is a strategic role. You need to slow down and don't approach it like you have a problem to fix tomorrow. You have to understand first the context before you can even have your bearing to shape it. So
Wow. So not a sprint,
it
more of a
wasn't a sprint.
marathon. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Carlo, I guess continuing on the GCC
Mm.
journey, you you also sit among your many hats. You sit as vice chair
Mhm.
of GC3,
GC3.
right? And working very closely with the growing global capability center ecosystem here in the Philippines. Now, what makes the Philippines as a GCC hub stand out, and where are our inherent advantages as a GCC hub? And what excites you most about where this roadmap is heading?
I think it's widely known, we're as big, as great as our GCC sector is in the Philippines. We're still not globally number one, right? um India is ahead of us in terms of years. They've done it,
And number of
and number of
GCCs.
GCCs. And again, that's partially because they were ahead of us in terms of years, over a decade ahead of us. But in terms of scale, I think they've shown us the potential of what GCCs could be. I think without that, it's easy to think we've arrived. But then when you look at that, you realize, wow, there's so much more to aspire for. I remember there was this there was this commercial, there was this ad campaign done by, I think it was Avis before, against Hertz. And Hertz would always boldly state, we're number one, we're number one, we're number one. And Avis could not dispute that. All the numbers said they're number two. And then they came out with this whole ad campaign. We're number two, so we try harder. And it was brilliant. It was brilliant. And I think there's nothing wrong being number two at the moment, because it gives us fuel to aspire for more, to see that it's been done by someone. And not only are we trying to do what they're doing, but as a nation, we have this inherent pride that we can outdo and we can blaze the trail where they also have not been. Will that happen tomorrow? Realistically, I don't think so. It requires a roadmap to get there. But the momentum is on our side. And that part is exciting.
Yeah, especially so, Carlo, because at the way that technology is progressing, the way we measure size
Right.
will no longer just be a
It's not
number
the same.
of jobs.
Exactly. It's not number of seat or
In,
scale.
in fact, for the Philippines, and I've been saying this, and we've all been saying this, right? We are moving from labor arbitrage to capability
Capability.
arbitrage, right?
Yeah.
So
Value.
I think we have our own inherent strengths as the Philippines.
Yeah.
So still on your journey, Carlo, was there ever a moment in this journey of yours so far where you felt not ready, but
Almost
knowing
every
that
time.
you have to step up anyway, and what can you share about that?
So, question of, did I ever feel like I was not ready? Or the answer was almost every time. Um, I don't know. Maybe it's um, the imposter syndrome, that sometimes maybe your people are not as honest and open. They hide that. But I think if you're going to be really true to yourself, if you're going to keep growing as a person, that means there are roles and responsibilities that will be offered to you. And when it's offered, at the moment it's offered, you feel like you're not fully ready for it, right? That's how I felt many times. And I felt that, certain presentations that I've been asked to make in the boardroom leading up to that, I was so extremely nervous. Even I remember as a manager, as a senior manager, every time as I went along my journey, there was always a point wherein I felt I did not fully belong in that role or that position. And at that time, it was always a cause for, I don't know, shame maybe, or insecurity. And then as you get older, you realize you're not alone. That's actually the process I'm describing the process of growth.
That's when the growth happens.
That's where it happens. But yeah, I mean, if you have a younger audience listening to this, if you're feeling that right now, that's where the growth actually will happen. And you've got to be gracious with yourself to be able to make mistakes. Now, I know the question you might be asking, which I asked myself back then, is it's one thing for me to be gracious with myself, but will the organization be as gracious, right? And that's where it's also important that number one, the kind of mistakes you make, there are some mistakes that are unforgivable, I would say. Hopefully, those are not the kind of mistakes you're going to be making. But the kind of organization and the boss you have matters. If the boss you work with gives you that leeway to expand, to try, to guide you, and then allow you to make mistakes, but correct you along the way, you have the elements required to grow.
So Carlo, going back to somewhat to your family, what does your wife tell you during these challenging situations?
She has always helped me believe in myself. Um, I think when I look back at my career, I've faced a lot of very, very difficult times where you feel like you hit rock bottom and you even question your capability. You were asking, have you ever questioned? Definitely, especially after you hit a major failure. And it's not just the one thing that she said, as much as it is her silent sort of companionship and presence and a hand on my shoulder, letting me know that it's all going to be okay. I think we all need that.
Absolutely.
We all need that. Yeah.
How do you pay some of these lessons forward?
A lot of people, not just in the work world, but a lot of people, a lot of young guys have asked me to mentor them. They've met with me, they've had coffee with me, and I pay it forward. We do talks, right? We do talks in different kinds of um, business talks, but even I've done, believe it or not, marriage talks as well. Not that my marriage is perfect. There's no such thing. But I think just by paying it forward, you grow as well. Um, but I try to give back when I can.
So as we wrap up,
Mm-hmm.
what's really been a very insightful and fun
Mm-hmm.
conversation, as always, Carlo. If you could impart some words of wisdom or advice to the young Filipinos in our country who are still trying to figure things out and find their place, what would you say to them?
Excellent question. Can I talk to the camera? Is that okay? Oh, where's the camera? That's the camera. Okay. So don't just focus on achieving what you're achieving. I think it's very important to keep an eye on the person you are becoming along the way. Don't get lost in your achievements, or don't get lost chasing achievements at the expense of becoming a person you're not going to be proud of. I think when achievements and talent outpace your character, at some point, whatever gains you have, you will compromise, you will lose, or it will be exposed. So, a lesson I've learned the hard way is don't measure yourself purely by the achievements or the milestones that you're collecting, but more importantly, by looking at the person you have become and are becoming. I think that will help ground you. And the second or the last thing I would say is, I've already mentioned it earlier. Don't be a perfectionist, because perfection is unattainable. It's a moving target. Don't try to achieve perfection, but always leave things better than when you found them. Be a good steward of whatever is entrusted to you. If it's a role that's been entrusted to you, understand that you're probably going to be in that role for a season only. Take that role and leave it better. Leave the organization, the team, the results, the company, the business better than when it was first handed over to you.
Wonderful words of advice indeed, Carlo. Thank you very much for spending a good part of the afternoon
Yeah.
here at IBPAP on Promptly Speaking. So I'm sure our audience got a lot
I hope so.
as I did whenever I talked to you. So thank you, Carlo. Carlo Mata, family man, model father and husband, industry leader, and happens to be a good friend of mine too. Thank you.
Thank you, Jap. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Promptly Speaking. We hope you enjoyed today's session, and we will see you on our next one.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow and subscribe to IBPAP on Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram. Stay tuned for the next episode on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts.
IBPAP